I'm your host, Steve Mitchell Bell. We're here in the studio with Jeremy Colbert. Hi, Jeremy. How are you, man?
Hey, doing well. How about yourself?
Cool, man. I'm doing all right. We've been off the air for the summer, and then we had a little delay with the transmitter being back online. So I know we had scheduled this before, and then thank you very much for understanding, and I'm glad to have you here in the
Absolutely.
studio. And,
it's great to be here.
And coming down from Pittsburgh and making the drive on this dreary, rainy day. So, Jeremy, I usually ask everybody to just kind of dig in and play something for us. What are you going to do for us?
This is a song called Smoke. This is an older one, but it's a surefire one, so start with that.
Okay, cool.
Something strange inside of me. Oh, I'm thinking this to death. I'm dizzy, you see. These circles keep slowing me down, 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 down. For air, oh, I'll catch some smoke instead. Time for a change, still spinning and still so strange. Forget about it all. See no difference between. Forget about all of this, just a sideways shade of gray. Smoke it away, smoke it away. See no difference in between. Oh, ride the highway. Smoke, come take me away. Heavy, so damn heavy on me. Complicated existence. I'll pull the smoke back over my eyes until it's dark enough to see. Down, 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 down. Can't come up for air. Oh, I'll catch some smoke instead. Lighten up these days, I said light up these days. And you say, well, I'm strange. Oh, forget about it all. See no difference between. Forget about all of this, just a stranded shade of gray. Smoke it away, smoke it away. We see no difference in between. Whoa, ride the highway, yeah. No.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Shake it off.
Yeah.
You got to do the stretching exercises.
Got to do the stretching. That one is an interesting one to start with because it's all very widespread bars.
Those octaves that you're playing there, yeah. That's yeah, that's cool. That's your own original tune. You don't play that with any.
That song actually, that was co-written when I was back in college with a band I used to play with called Lullabies and Cocktails, and co-wrote that music lyrics all together with pretty much three of my roommates and bandmates.
So you're now. I'm trying to think. I saw you open. You were playing with my son's band. That's yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know you do the acoustic cafe stuff, but I think that's okay. That's where I saw you, and the set you were with Boone. I think
Yes.
I think I might have missed the first part of it, but I caught the last couple songs, and that's why I was like, oh, I gotta have them on the show. I like these guys. But you're in like 3 different bands now, right? Is that?
I am in a couple different groups right now. That particular group is called Boone. It's kind of a folk soul sort of acoustic duo where we play with a couple different other musicians around town as well. I'm also in a 4-piece called Nameless in August. It's kind of like folk, bluegrass, pop. It's a lot of fun, and a duo that is kind of has a country flair to it, but it's definitely singer-songwriter, a little bit of pop. It's called Gray's Fool with Crystal Morgan and myself, and we're actually finishing up an EP right now in the studio with Nameless, so keeping busy.
Wow. Yeah, you ever get like confused and start playing like one of the other band songs?
That doesn't happen, but what ends up happening is we all kind of end up playing on each other's tunes, so there is a mix and match.
That's good. That's good. And then if you always look like, hey, we need an opener for, then yeah.
It can be convenient, yes.
Yeah, cool. Well, so how did you get started in this crazy business? How did you grow up around music? How did you decide that you wanted to?
Oh, well, it's funny. Most of the musicians I talk to who I really respect and admire, their parents are usually their influence, because they usually grew up and their parents were exposing them to music and played music. In my case, neither of my parents really played music. I mean, my mom sang, she always had music playing, but she didn't. It was just a very recreational thing. And my dad always, he has the joke where he says, the only thing I can play is a radio. But he did have a guitar, and he had it kind of, I think it might have even been up in the attic. And my brother and I found it when we were young. And we had an older cousin who also played guitar, and he kind of showed us a couple chords. And my brother really took to it and started really, learning a lot of music and playing around with his friends, around campfires at school. We had these solo day programs where we could perform. So my brother actually really influenced me with that, and him and I just played all through high school, just very recreationally.
Cool. So at some point though, you must have decided, hey, I'm going to write my own songs.
Yeah, I actually remember the moment where I was like, I can actually write my own song. I don't have to just sit here and learn, and I'm just like putting my fingers on random spots and like, this chord right here. Oh, that's cool. I had no idea what it was, but I wrote these songs where I was just kind of exploring the guitar. And then eventually, after writing a couple songs like that and just loving music, being involved in the chorus at school and band and everything, I decided that I wasn't going to do my computer science major, and that I was going to go for music education, which is kind of a very wide spectrum choice. I always wonder where I would have been if I would have went the other way. So I did. I went to school for music education, and that really just spearheaded everything else as far as my musical journey.
Awesome. Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Shenandoah University and Conservatory, and that's in Northern Virginia.
Okay, I know.
It's in a town called Winchester.
Yeah. I used to live in Purcellville, so.
Okay, yeah. It's not far from Purcellville at all.
Yeah. It's nice out there. It's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. So, case you just joined us, you're listening to Acoustic Songs Live from WNJR Studios in Washington, Pennsylvania. And I'm your host, T. Mitchell Bell. We have Jeremy Colbert here in the studio. And we broadcast at 91.7 FM and stream live at WNJR.org. And this year they actually set it up so it will work on mobile devices. So if you're out about and you have your phone, you can actually listen to the broadcast over your iPod, phone, laptop, whatever you have.
High tech.
Implant in your ear. I don't know, but
Soon.
yeah,
Soon.
your watch. And so Jeremy, you want to play another tune for us?
Yeah, actually. I wasn't planning on playing this, but I'm going to since I was talking about my brother and just kind of the roots, because I tend to hit a number of different styles, just kind of all over the place. And this is in more of the country realm, but this was a song I wrote for his wedding, and it was right around December that he had his wedding. It was on December 10th, about 2 years ago, and his fiancée had started her wedding vows, and my brother kind of had been speaking with me and said maybe it might be interesting to see if you could write something for us, and he sent me what she had written so far.
Oh, okay.
And I read it, and it was really nice, but there's one line that really stood out to me, and it was, we aren't only on the same page, we write the same exact sentence at the same time. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's really brilliant. So I kind of used that as inspiration for this. And I wasn't planning on playing it, so I haven't played it in a while, but I feel like playing it right now. So
what's the name of it?
It's called You and I.
Okay.
Do you ever wonder if you've lost it? Do you ever wonder if you'll find your way? Do you ever wonder who is gonna come around the corner and make everything okay? When I saw you, I thought that I had lost it. Well, I was thinking that maybe you were make-believe, some figment of my imagination, staring right back at me. You and I aren't only on the same page together. We write the same exact sentence at the same time. You and I, me and you. Do you ever wonder if you found it? Do you ever wonder if she's the only one? I used to wonder that all the time, now it's fine, 'cause my wondering is done. Oh yes it is. You and I aren't only on the same page together. You and I, we write the same exact sentence at the same time. You and I, me and you. Oh, like a boat out on a troubled water. No storm could ever bring us down. No, no. Well, I believe my heart has finally found its harbor. You and I, me and you. Whoa. Me and you. Whoa, whoa. You and I. Whoa. Me and you. Whoa.
Very nice. Very nice. Very,
Thanks.
very laid. You know, when you play with the other bands and you have the full setting, but it reminds me like of you get ever compared to Jack Johnson type of stuff. Very,
Oh yeah. Well, not so much a comparison, but I definitely draw a lot of influences from him.
very laid back, like very laid back, chill kind of stuff. You know, that's cool. Cool. I dig that. So you were we were talking a little bit before the show that you grew up in Johnstown, right?
Yeah, I grew up right outside of Johnstown.
Yeah. And
This town that probably probably none of you actually have heard of. It's called Vinco. Vinco, yeah.
yeah,
Tiny little place, but yeah, right outside of Johnstown.
Yes. What was that? What was that like growing up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania?
Well, you know, it was really great actually, because where we lived, my parents got really lucky where they found this house in this corner of these woods. So you drive down the lane, and our house is just situated there. You go out on our front porch, you don't see any other houses. There's like one neighbor up to the left, one way behind us, and there's just a big field and woods. So in that respect, I'm really grateful for growing up pretty much in nature, which was really great to be out you know, outdoors and always, you know, getting that experience of life growing up. But it was also the small town mentality, which is great in a way. But you know, coming to college and living in a city, it's been a very different experience. And I cherish all of my experiences, and I'm glad that I had that starting out. But you know, Johnstown, the best thing that is in Johnstown right now is, I think, the Flood City Music Fest. Other than that, you know,
Yeah.
it's a nice place to be, and I love going back and visiting home. But I love being in the city. It's just so much fun.
More energy.
Yeah, there's more. There's just so much going on. More energy is a good way to put it.
And creatively, do you find that helps you?
Oh yeah, I mean, because you get pushed by everyone else who's pushing each other. There's a nice community of musicians here, and you know, we're all doing the same thing. We're all just trying to make our art and share our art, and it's a really nice, like I said, it's a nice community here. So we're all kind of inspiring each other in a way.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's kind of grown into that, whereas when I was coming up, it was more of a competition thing, you know.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be as much of that everybody's kind of supporting each other, at least with the you know, all the bands that are out there. The Acoustic Cafe crowd kind of, you know, everybody kind of supports one another, comes to everybody's shows, and I think that's cool. You know, it's very similar to, you know, some other places I've been, but you know, it's cool that everybody kind of supports each other. And so you said you had gone to Shenandoah Music School, and are you teaching now, or do you teach?
Yes.
You teach at the public schools, or
Not in the public school.
No.
Well, I do. That's how I make my money.
You don't make money making music.
Well,
Yeah.
I donate all of those millions. No, I do teach, and I teach right now through a private music school, which is geared toward young childhood education. It's called the Pittsburgh Music Academy. I'm currently the head of the guitar department there. And I've taught music and movement classes at group education, theory, and choir there.
Is that down in Carnegie?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. Lucy Tedesco.
Yeah, Lucy Tedesco used to teach there, fiddle, yeah.
Okay.
And
I know where it is.
she's really good friends with the owner of the school, Kiki Barley. And
Nicole Myers, too?
yeah, Nicole Myers from Cello Fury.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I know where it is because I went there when I was releasing my CD. I had to meet them down there, and yeah, so that's cool. I didn't know it existed until then. I was like, there's really a private music school. I'm like, geez, you know, and it's good, you know, it really is.
It is, and like I said, it's geared toward young children. So it's actually a Suzuki method school, and it is phenomenal what these kids can do. I'm completely continually humbled, and jealous at the opportunities that these kids have. I just inherited an 11-year-old guitar student, and man, if he isn't better than me, you know what I'm saying? Like, these kids who've been taking lessons since they've been 5, 6, 7 years old, and really nurtured by it. You know, you're sponges at that time. So I'm just always surrounded by this really great energy of these young children who are just continually just blow me away.
Doesn't that freak you out too when somebody comes in and they want lessons and you go like, you know, what am I going to teach you? You know, like that. That's how I have had that happen before. You know, I taught one time.
Oh, it pushes me too. It definitely pushes me, because I'm not necessarily. I don't really do a lot of the classical style. I have a nylon string. That's mainly what I teach at Pittsburgh Music Academy. But I don't perform out a lot with the classical style. When I'm performing out, I'm doing a lot of the folk, the rock, the country stuff. And I just don't have enough time to sit and hone the classical skills. I love it, but it's just right now my life isn't really geared in that direction.
Yeah.
But there are some kids who come in and I'm just like, well, I'm gonna have to practice for 2 hours before our next lesson.
They're like doing box stuff and all that kind
absolutely.
of stuff.
And it's fantastic. It keeps me on my toes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I understand where you come from there because every time I would sit down and I would try to myself do that, like, okay, I'm going to learn, you know, some classical tune or something like that just because Leo Kottke plays it, you know, and I'm like, I'm going to play it too, you know, whatever. And so I find it very hard because what happens is that I'll start learning something, and then my mind shifts to I do something wrong, and or oh, well, that sounds good. Oh, and then it becomes a song. Like I've kind of like end up writing something when I'm supposed to be learning something else. End up
stealing something you like and be like, oh, that could go here.
Kind of that, you know. Or maybe I'll just take the chord form and then just start working it up and down on different parts of the neck, and then I'm and not even realizing what I was playing at the time, you know. You know what I mean? I was like playing something. It's like, well, what chord is it? I don't know. It's just at this position, at this fret, and
it's amazing how everything kind of fits together. And the more you learn about guitar, because you look at the fretboard, and it's just there. Like you look at a piano keyboard, and everything stays lined up right in front of you. You look at a guitar fretboard, and you're like, well, where do I start? And we all start with these open chords and some scales maybe, but the more if there are any guitar players out there, they know this, like the more you play, the more you start to explore, the more everything connects. So a cool experience kind of along with what you were saying is, you know, figuring out that that scale or that technique or that pattern that is actually fitting into something that you've already learned. And then you can kind of go back and say, oh, that's what I was playing. I was actually using this scale or this mode, or I was using this chord actually is, you know, a 5 of a 5, and I had no idea what that was. And, you know, just all these different things that connect.
And you heard it in your head, but you didn't know what you were hearing relative. Now you could say, oh, I know what I was hearing now. Like, right. Do you ever teach them the cage system? Is that something that ever comes out?
It's funny, actually. The student I just was talking about that I inherited, his father wants me to go into that with him, which is, so I have the fretboard logic book, and I'm going to be pretty much exploring that with him, because I've never applied it myself. I'm sure I have in ways that I haven't realized yet, but it's funny you say that. I'm actually going to be having a lesson with him next week and going into that.
Well, it's, I played for 20 years before somebody even told me that, and local guitar teacher, performer, and I mean, just even when when someone finally tells you, like, oh, the fretboard repeats itself at the 12th fret, you go like, okay, because it really is unlocking that mystery.
Yes,
and
it is a mystery.
And sitting out, I started on piano, man, middle C's middle C, but you could play an E note in 3 different positions on the fretboard, and it's still the same
Exact note.
No, yeah. All right, I could go on forever.
Yeah, I'm sure we could.
Yeah. So you want to play something for us?
Yeah, I'm actually going to switch out instruments here, and I'm going to grab my ukulele.
Okay. And, well, while he's switching out, I'll say, in case you just joined us, you're tuned to Acoustic Songs Live, and we're here at the WNJR studios at Washington and Jefferson College in Washington, PA. And we do this every Friday at 1 o'clock. We've been off the air for a while with the students were gone for the summer, and our broadcast tower was down, but we're back up again, and you can catch us here next week at 1 p.m. And Jeremy, what are you going to play for us?
This is a song called Glow. And if there are any George Harrison fans out there, this song is inspired by him. I'm an avid downhill snow skier. I love it every year. I just look forward to it. That's the only thing that gets me through the cold weather. But 2 years ago, I just got my ukulele, and I just was kind of like playing with this little riff, which, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Norwegian Wood, and just kind of, just a fun little ascending thing, and had that in my mind. And I got sick right before the ski trip. So I'm sitting up, we went up to Vermont. I'm sitting at the place while everyone else is out skiing, and I'm too sick to go skiing. It was the most frustrating thing in my life, because I've been looking forward to it for months and months and months. You go up there, and the only thing that really that made me so grateful for it was I turned on the TV, and there happened to be this documentary that was the Scorsese documentary of George Harrison, and I sat there and I watched it, and I was just blown away. If any of you are Beatles fans, music fans in general, I suggest checking out the documentary. But apparently George Harrison drove around with a trunk full of ukuleles. So we would always have ukuleles to kind of hand out to different fellow musicians.
That's cool.
Yeah, to kind of jam on. But this song kind of came from that, and if you watch the documentary, the very last scene where his wife is speaking, it's just chilling. I just got chills thinking of it. Just watch it, and you'll see what I mean. This is called Glow.
I was low when I ran into you. You said, how do you go? I said, oh, well, Then I squeezed out a smile and said, doing just fine. That is a lie. Well, I can tell by your eyes. Toss away your disguise. Go ahead and cry till you empty the darkness to fill up with light. as you go. Slow down, breathe air, glow as you go. Be here. Look around. Notice all that you see is just temporary. So what will you leave when you exit that skull or the chest where you breathe? But then again, why rely on the notion that bliss will begin when you die? Go ahead and cry till you empty the darkness to fill up with light. As you go, slow down, breathe air, glow as you go. Be here, glow as you go. Slow down, breathe air, glow as you go. Be here.
Very nice song.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was my producer brain was going. You know, I had these other song like parts there, and I was like,
Yeah, it's like I hear a cello in there and a lot of different
harmony,
Yeah.
vocals, and kind of this, drum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was hearing these parts, and it was nice playing too.
Thank you.
It's a very nice sounding ukulele there. Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes I perform out with a loop pedal. I used to more so a year or two ago. And with that particular song, I have a percussion thing going, kind of that 6/8 feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll layer in some harmonies on some of those oohs. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, very kind of I want to say like Irish kind of feel to it, a little bit, yeah. I was thinking when you said George Harrison was handing out ukuleles, I thought, it's like, I imagined him handing out sitars,
Yeah, right. I don't think those would fit in the trunk.
There's a sitar. I played this on Norwegian Wood, remember? Yeah.
Maybe there's some sort of hybrid between a sitar, a sitalele, maybe.
Yeah.
Because there are gitaleles.
Yeah.
I actually use those to teach young children because they're very small. They have 6 strings.
Oh yeah. Is it bazooki?
Bazooki.
Yeah, those are kind of like a hybrid. I don't know, Mando guitar kind of.
Mando guitar, sitar, and a gourd all put together, like these big-bodied instruments.
Yeah.
Kind of. I had a roommate who I would live with 4 years. He's Greek. He was Cypriot, and he was a fantastic guitar player, but he had a bazooki, and it was really fun watching him play.
So, the Beatles, man, that's like I have to watch. Now I'm gonna have to watch that documentary.
You would love it.
He was kind of the spiritual center, I think. He doesn't, everybody, Lennon and McCartney get all the credit for everything, but he was kind of the, listen to let's go check out India, and the Maharaji, and he's kind of this spiritual center, I think. If John was the emotional heart of it, and maybe Paul's the brains. He was kind of that glue in the middle kind of guy, and I think he looked up to John a lot because he was like younger, than John, and John was kind of that, rebel dude, always the instigator, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember in college when I've always loved the Beatles, but just I remember being at it was a party and we were talking about favorite Beatles, and I asked, so we were kind of going around, who's your favorite Beatle, and at that time I wasn't I guess too deep into the Beatles, and I just thought, well, it's either John or Paul. Who's your favorite Beatle? I love how we don't even talk about Ringo. I think Ringo is there to keep everyone just happy, to keep it lighthearted. But I asked someone and they said, "Oh, George, absolutely George." I was like, "Really, George?" But I mean, to this day, he is by far my favorite, and I think, he didn't put himself out there because he had a deeper wisdom to him, where he kind of just was able to hold back, and he didn't need to be in the spotlight.
No, all right.
He didn't, because he had his own things going on inside, and I love him for it.
Yeah, and those riffs and stuff that he played and came up with back then were in the harmony parts that he sang were these parts that, if you just imagine him not putting it in there, it's like it's not the Beatles then. It's the Everly Brothers.
Yeah, he's the glue, man.
Well, I saw that Acoustic Cafe has a Beatles thing coming up again for like the 5th anniversary in November. I'm going to have to try to make that one this year.
Please do. I'm really excited. It's going to be at Mr. Small's this year.
Oh,
it's
wow.
on November 16th. We're going to have 2 stages. We're going to have the main stage being the full band stage. We'll have a side stage for the acoustic stage. And it's going to be an amazing night of music all around. November 16th. Definitely come check that out. Super excited.
So what are some of the things that you have coming up with your different bands also?
Finishing up a studio project with Graceful, so we'll be having a CD release party in December, TBA. But in the near future, I have a gig I'm excited about with Nameless in August. It is October 29th. That's at Club Cafe, and we're opening for Poor Old Shine. And Poor Old Shine is a really great folky band, and they've been around. They've played a lot of festivals. Really excited about that on October 29th at Club Cafe. But this Saturday, actually tomorrow, Graceful, we're doing an acoustic duo set at the there's a Crafton community block party. So if you are in the Crafton area, I think it's on Lincoln Avenue. We're playing around 7. Free event open to the public. And Boone is playing November 2nd at Howlers with a few other acts. We got this really talented singer-songwriter who does a solo project coming in from New Jersey. His name is Keith Kenny, playing with a few other acts there. And also November 15th, Boone will be at Hambones in Lawrenceville.
See, Boone, Nameless in August, and Graceful.
Yes.
And then that's keeping you busy. You're not doing so much solo stuff, but that's keeping you busy for now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is really great to come down and do some solo stuff, and I'm sure I'll be back with those groups.
Yeah, definitely.
Dusting off all these songs, it's fun to play them, and it's feeling rusty, but it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you too, and I'm really enjoying what you're playing too. So, other than the Beatles, what's some of the stuff that you were listening to when you got interested in? We were talking about growing up and different music and stuff like that. But what was some of the stuff that
when I was growing up, aside from the pop radio that my mom always had on the station, literally, I remember sitting next to the stereo systems, like trying to sing along with these songs I didn't even know yet. When I was 3 and 4 years old, that's probably why I love harmony so much. But as far as specific artists, when I started playing guitar, it was your cliche, it was your Jack Johnson, Dave Matthews, John Mayer. John Mayer was the biggest influence on me as far as songwriting at first. And then that became Dave Matthews. I became a huge fan of the band, the cohesive unit of Dave Matthews Band. I've seen them many times, and I know that's kind of like also a cliche. People get really excited about Dave Matthews, but I ignore everyone else in the crowd, and I just look at the stage and just like totally soak in every moment of it. Especially Carter Beauford, his drumming is like, that's like my soul's heartbeat. But but you know, also I had a friend of mine who was older, and he had me listen to the classic rock stations. A lot of, you know, the Pink Floyd was a big influence on me, and I think I write a lot of darker stuff. You know, you've heard I started out with one that was sort of in that realm, but I do end up writing a lot of darker stuff, and I think I do attribute that to bands like Pink Floyd and.
So yeah, the Dave Matthews, my son Chris took me there 2 years ago for my birthday to see him at I always call it Starlight. It's whatever it is now.
It's Starlight.
But that was a really cool show, and one of the favorite. I really like his live at Luther College when it's just him on acoustic and
Tim Reynolds.
Tim Reynolds on and Tim Reynolds is like, you know, just this genius guitar guy.
Mad genius, yeah.
Yeah, and the echo stuff and, you know, the things he does, you know, is just kind of really amazing, you know, like these layers that he puts on, and the two of them together sound, you know, awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it.
Yeah.
Always loved them.
I grew up on classic rock, and then you find there's like, you know, I moved out of other places and found other music and you know, alternative music, and when alternative music stations, you know, and you know, thank God we have like stuff like, you know, college radio and you know, YEP and places like that where you can hear this different alternative music that kind of, you know, I would have never heard of a lot. I'd hear something and go, who's that? You know, Ben Harper. I never heard of him. You know, and I'd go out and buy a, you know, Ben Harper CD, you know, right away.
Yeah, and there's so much out there. All the styles are just mixing and melding right now.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funny, like whenever you ask what kind of music you listen to or who you listen to, it's hard to answer that because it's just it's all just music, you know.
With things like Spotify and Pandora and everything, you get so much, and there's so much out there. There's so many people playing, and a lot of people say it's just inundated with music, but hey, the opposite used to be, where there was kind of a shield, and you couldn't get back there to get on the radio or anything. So now everybody's you know, at least having the same opportunity. It's kind of leveling the field a little bit.
Oh, we're all fighting. We're all like at the bottom of the barrel on the same. We're all just like scraping.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's actually more like a race to the bottom as opposed to the race to the top. But no, but it's cool that you know, and I have to sort through a lot of stuff. I get people to send me stuff, and they're like, "Hey, I'd like to be on the show," and I go, you know, keep going, you know. Maybe one day, and I don't want to discourage people, and so I'm excited to be in that place where I can hear all kinds of new stuff. You know, we're finding new artists and like, wow, why didn't people hear these guys?
That's the thing. On the flip side of that is there are so many amazingly talented acts, like bands out there that are scraping by, and you listen to them and you think, why aren't they, you know, having the number one spots in these media outlets? Well, you know, it's just because that's the setup we have. We dumb everything down. We make everything catchy and fun and lacking substance, and that's what sells. So all of these bands, there's some amazing bands out there that are just killing it, but they have to constantly tour just to make ends meet. And Joe Pug, you ever heard of him? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, a friend of mine said he was going to see, Joe was just in town, and he opened for Billy Bragg. He said, I'm going to see Billy Bragg. Like, opener's Joe Pug. I'm like, oh, you're going to love it. You know, love Joe. Oh, I never heard of him. I'm like, oh, man. You know, that's you know, there's so many people, but thank God you can do it. At least, you know, they're playing, you got to tour, you got to play, it's pretty much live out of your van, I guess,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Well, hey,
it's worth it.
We've got time for probably maybe one more song. We'll see. And you want to play something else for us?
Yeah. I'm going to do, this is the newest song that I've written.
Okay.
This is it just revamped this ending last week, so it's a little bit new. But this is a song called Circles. Yeah.
Told me to fill the empty space with the colors. Well, I could conjure up in my mind. Naturally, I began filling up the pages with circles. Must not have been listening when teacher advised us. Use straight lines. Well, it's better that way. I wasn't listening until today. I'm up all night in circles, spend my time making circles. The better we draw them, the bitter we be. I'm up all night in circles, my whole life in circles. The better we draw them, the better we be. Funny how a new year comes by. We're all in need of a change. We tell ourselves, this time I'll get it right, but somehow it ends up just the same. An ambulance comes blaring by. Get ourselves out of the way, and suddenly we realize that life's too short to wait. Use your mind and put your patterns away. I listen to myself, then turn away. I'm up all night in circles, my whole life in circles. The better we draw them, the better we be. I'm up all night in circles, spend my time making circles. The better we draw them, the better we be. circle games we play until we learn how to spin them straight.
Nice song, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, I could see how that could be an epic performance with the full band.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know, I hear the drums. I hear the strings.
That took me back, because when I was in college, I had a band that was very heavily influenced by progressive and metal, and I was this acoustic guy, and the mixing was very interesting, but it forced me to really step out of my comfort zone. And when I wrote back then, I thought about the big full band. Every time I wrote my songs, I thought about how it would translate. And I got away from that the last couple of years. I've been doing a lot of more singer-songwriter stuff, more country stuff, more songwriter for the song. But that song was just like, it actually kind of came to me in a dream, the chorus, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. And
that's wild when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
You're like, where does it come from? Where does these you know, and then sometimes it's just like you feel like you're a conduit to, like, I'm not writing this, it's just writing itself.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. That was the case for definitely the inspiration of this song.
It reminded me, not that particular song, but it reminded me of what's the band that, What Is It? Just Say It. What Is It? That kind of rap. It was like a rap thing. You want it all, but you can't have it. What was the name of that band? But it gets very big and epic at the very end of it. Just Say It. What is it? It's piano and all that. It's very.
I'm not
classically. Yeah.
The orchestration, when you build, I'm a huge fan of build. I know that can maybe get tiring after you make everything build, but I just love it. I love when songs take you somewhere, and if by the end of it you're wanting to go back and listen from the beginning because of the end, then I think that's really successful, because I think music should take you on a emotional journey
and be dynamic. I mean, there's the loudness wars now where all the pop stuff is just one volume and really doesn't have that dynamic kind of, like, it starts out soft and then builds it, which you just did. That's the way it should be. That's how music is. It should make you feel that. Hey, we have time for one more, if you would mind taking us out. I mean,
sure.
We talked a lot, and you only played 4 songs, believe it or not. So,
sure.
Yeah. We enjoyed having you on the show, Jeremy. I enjoyed talking to you, and we'll look forward to having a couple of your bands on later on in the year. We'll set something up. We run through the school year, so into the spring too. We kind of shut down for the Christmas break, but that's there's no one here. The students are gone, so
we will schedule it. I will be back with Boone, with Graceful, and with Nameless in August. I'll have them all down here.
Okay.
Maybe not all at once. Cool. I'm gonna end with a song. It's called "Make It."
What is the meaning of the word? I heard something absurd, and I made it hurt. Oh, you showed me something I could do. You started hinting at the clue I already knew. Sometimes I try to make it, sometimes I try to fake it, sometimes I try to break it, sometimes I try too hard, sometimes I try to make it, sometimes I try to fake it, sometimes I try to break it, sometimes I try to. Simple flexibility, be nimble is all she said to me. kiss me on the cheek. And at that moment the clouds were gone, the sky was open, and I began to think, how foolish of me. Sometimes I try to make it, sometimes I try to fake it, sometimes I try to break it, sometimes I try too hard, sometimes I try to make it, sometimes I try to fake it, sometimes I try to break it, yeah. What is the meaning of the word? I heard something absurd, and I made it hurt. You showed me something I could do. You started hinting at the clue. Already
It's Jeremy Colbert here on Acoustic Songs Live from WNJR in Washington, Pennsylvania. We'll see you next week.